going on, everybody? It is the Buffalo Bobby, the host of the Let's Talk 716 Sports podcast. On Twitter, you can find me at Let's Talk 716. I'm joined here in the special edition of the podcast with the host of the Sit Down on the Built in Buffalo Network, the Sauce God. What is going on, Sauce?
Bobby, happy that I could be able to come on to this podcast. You know, when you first approached me about it, I was very humbled about it. I know that you recently had on my co-host, the Mafia Montage. Little shout out to Lance Nelson. Lance Nelson, BIB, the president of Built to Buffalo, and also my co-host, and also the co-host of the Buffalo Blitz for Built to Buffalo, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, so Bobby, I'm happy to be here, bro. I'm happy to talk a little bit about the Bills and talk a little bit about my history and tradition that exists with this team and a little bit about myself, brother. So happy to be here.
Um, so how did you become a fan of the Bills?
Whew, it's a good question. So and bear with me here, right? Because there's, a little bit of depth to the story. So when I was a kid, I actually grew up in I was born in Western New York, right? But as a baby, we moved out to Las Vegas. My dad was a union laborer at that time, and Vegas was blowing up in the 1990s. So we moved out there. And when I grew up more of a Yankees fan. You see the pinstripes on me right now because I grew up playing baseball. I didn't play football at a younger age because they didn't really have as much of it going on in Vegas as they did maybe in Western New York for kids. But I never really watched football too much growing up until I kind of got a little bit older. And then I started to watch the Super Bowl and I'm like, yo, this is fun, right? But I never had a favorite team. When I was a kid, other kids in Las Vegas would say, "Oh, you're a fan of the Bills? Like, there's no they suck, dude." And I'm like, "All right, well, I can't be a fan of the Bills." So I try to be a fan of a different team, right? But then I went to my first ever Buffalo Bills game, which actually was my first NFL game ever, and that was in San Diego when the Chargers still played in San Diego, right? My mother took me just before we moved back to Western New York when I was a kid. We actually saw the Bills play against the Chargers when Chargers had LaDainian Tomlinson, the Bills had Willis McGahee, they had JP Lossman, right? But I remember the Bills were getting slaughtered. But I had a fun time with my mom tailgating, and I also saw the look on her eye, like the look in her eyes when she saw the Bills actually complete a touchdown, during the game, and that right there was just like, huh, maybe there's something special. A little side note too, Bobby, that my mom actually was pregnant with me in 1994. I believe it was January, and it was at that time the coldest weather playoff game or Monday Night Football or something like that in Bills history or NFL history or something, right? My mom was pregnant with me at that football game. She wasn't drinking, of course. So I always said that the Bills Mafia was kind of just in my blood right from the jump. And here we are now. As I got older, I started to kind of get into the Bills Mafia, fan base a little bit more, and I started to go to tailgates with everybody, and I had a lot of fun at that point. And that's just when I realized that it wasn't really so much about the team's success that made it such a great fan base to be a part of and such a great team to root for. It was the way that we rallied together and had fun and made memories, and the way that we could stick by a team that didn't have a ton of success for a very long time. So that's why I'm now a Buffalo Bills fan, die hard, more than I am a Yankees fan too, by the way. So that's kind of how it came to be about for me becoming a fan of the Buffalo Bills.
What was it like being um like with the mafia um tailgating?
Whew. So, all right, when I was at my first ever game in San Diego, it was just my mom and I was like 11 years old, I think, at the time. So I'm obviously not drinking, and my mom wasn't either, but we were just grilling hot dogs, tossing the football around. So I'm like, this is a lot of fun. right? You know, in a parking lot next to a lot of other fans. And they were actually, I remember being impressed because there were a ton of Bills fans in San Diego. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? I didn't realize how well that Bills Mafia traveled at that time because I was too young to understand, right? But for me, that was my first tailgating experience. But then I actually went on a tailgating experience with my mom, stepdad, and some of my stepsisters and some other members of my stepdad's family, and we all got in this white bus. We called it the fun bus. It was a van, right? And it was like a little Ford van or something like that. And we all got in the fun bus, and we all went to cold games, and we got it there at like 5:30 in the morning. But I'm like having fun because I'm just eating a bunch of hot dogs and I'm watching everybody get drunk. And I was 14 years old. I was once in a while trying to see if I could sneak a beer in there somewhere, but I never was able to. I just kind of felt like I had to watch everybody's asses, right? But I remember thinking, these people are having so much damn fun. And then after the game was over, it's like we were there. The game ended at 4 p.m. and we're still there until like 7:30 p.m. at night, not because of the traffic, but because we're still tailgating. They wanted to show me how to really do it. So that was my first real experience with the tailgating. And as I got older, I think that's when it kind of, you know, set in for me that um, I was a member of the Bills Mafia tailgating process. And that doesn't mean that I break tables anymore. I have broken a couple of tables. I've also helped people break tables. But for me, Bobby, it's just all about experiencing the joy of rooting for this team with other members of Bills Mafia, getting some great food. It's not about the drink it for me, especially nowadays. It ain't about the drink it for me. It's about creating memories that are going to last a lifetime. Um, you never know, man, what's going to happen there. And I always felt like every single time that I go to One Bills Drive, that I feel magic in the air. And I've always said it. Montage will even tell you that it's true. That I said to him, I feel magic when I'm at that stadium. And I definitely can't wait for the things that the Buffalo Bills are going to bring to its new stadium as well.
How do you think our team will do this year against the like Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots?
Well, Bobby, I'm glad that you bring that up, and that's a very good question. And here's my opinion. It differs from a lot of other podcasters or analysts, other show hosts that cover the Buffalo Bills. I believe that the Bills have shown year after year that they can beat these teams in the division and sweep them. Right? They can go 6-0 against them. They could either go 5-1, they could go 4-2. But at the end of the day, the Bills are finding ways to win divisional games consistently, especially to the point where they are winning the AFC East title year after year, which helps in the scenario of playoff seeding and stuff like that, right? I think that the Jets acquiring Aaron Rodgers is a bold move on their part. I don't know if he's going to be that MVP type of Aaron Rodgers that we saw a few years ago. I just don't know what he's going to bring to the table. I do know that they have a really great young core with Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall coming back from injury, that great young defense led by now Sauce Gardner, who also I believe he's stealing my clout, right? I'm Sauce Gotti, Sauce Gardner. But I think that he's really, in my opinion, he might be the best defensive back in football right now. And I think the Jets are well coached. I think they're going to make a little bit of fuss, right? But I think people are discouraged when the Bills lose divisional games, but they don't realize, Bobby, that it's a divisional game. Those teams play you twice a year. They've played you twice a year for so many damn seasons in a row. They almost have your number figured out. You just got to be able to tweak the game a little bit, and you have to be the better team that shows up that day, right? That's why the Dolphins were able to win one against us last year. And that was a little bit of a fluke, too, because we all know how it went down with the dehydration, the cramps, and the heat in Miami and all that stuff, right? Miami doesn't have a chance in hell if Tua is not consistently healthy because it's a distraction. And I'm not saying that because I have any disrespect towards Tua. I really think that it was unfortunate everything that happened to him last season, but he does have two really great receivers. They bolstered up their defense a little bit more with Jalen Ramsey, but contrary to what other people around the NFL think, Bobby, I think that the Dolphins getting Jalen Ramsey was only a good thing for the Bills. Jalen Ramsey was the one that said the Bills drafting Josh Allen was a trash pick, and he just didn't understand it, and he was excited because he was going to play in that year, which was Josh Allen's rookie year, and he was looking forward to all the interceptions he'd have. Well, Josh Allen ended up beating Jalen Ramsey and those Jaguars that year of his rookie season. And that was something that kind of sparked a little bit of a chip on Josh Allen's shoulder, right? So maybe Jalen Ramsey being back there necessarily doesn't help them against the Buffalo Bills, especially when he's going against Stephon Diggs. The Patriots, yeah, the Patriots are just going to have to, just accept the fact that they're going to suck as long as they keep playing Mac Jones and as long as that, they are based in the northeastern part of this country, in a town called Boston, where I don't agree with anybody on the concept of sports, right? So I don't think the Patriots are going to be much competition. I think that they'll make noise. Like I said, they can create a fuss, but that's divisional games, Bobby. That's how it goes across the entire NFL. You could see teams that could be last in their division upset the team that's leading the NFL and number one in their division, right? Because it just is different when you're talking about the scenario that exists with divisional matchups. So I think the Bills are going to do just fine. I'm going to anticipate that they're going to go 5-1 against the AFC East this year. And I think one of those losses is going to either be a fluke to the Dolphins or the Patriots. And I don't think that we're going to lose to the Jets in week one. I think it's just so much hype for Aaron Rodgers. I think Josh Allen is the guy that's going to step up there.
Have you ever traveled to a Bills game?
Yeah, so I mean, other than going to the one in San Diego, which I know obviously you didn't know about that one, I have actually never been to a Bills have wait. I'm trying to think here for a second. I don't believe so. I don't believe I've ever actually traveled technically to see the Bills play. I was going to go to Baltimore last year, but that was because I was living there at the time. Yeah, dude, I don't think I've ever actually had the chance to travel. So that's something I want to do in the future. I'll never go to New England because I'll literally be in fights nonstop. I'll just be either getting, arrested for dismantling all Bostonians or something of that nature. I would like to go to I would like to see the Bills and the Jaguars in London. That would be really cool, right? But I'd like a chance to maybe see, that's my thing too, is as much as yeah, it'd be fun to travel to some other stadiums. It's really only gonna be fun if I'm going to the Super Bowl or a playoff game, right? I just love going to One Bills Drive and I love those home games that much more. So if the opportunity ever presents itself, yeah, obviously I would take the opportunity to travel. But no, actually, Bobby, have you ever been to a Bills game outside of Buffalo or no?
I I have not been to a game outside of Buffalo,
Okay. Fair
but
enough. So maybe we ought to make that a thing for both of us, is that we hit a game on the road sometime. Maybe we'll hit your ride with Pinto Ron.
yeah, have have you ever met like any of the Bills Mafia, like the super fans?
Yep. I met the Bills Vader. It was pretty cool with Bills Jason for a little bit. Tight with Bills Mando. I've never met Pinto Ron. I've actually met Bills Elvis and chatted with him a few times. Um, I'd like to consider myself a super fan. Actually, I was dubbed a super fan by M&T Bank when they were doing this partnership with the Buffalo Bills, where they took stories from people that wanted to submit themselves as super fans for Bills Mafia. Right? They submitted their best memories of the Bills and how they became a fan, and I shared my story that actually was written to reflect from when we broke the drought on that New Year's Eve, and a night that I'll never forget. And I summed it up in detail entirely. And that actually got me an opportunity to get a photo shoot and take up that partnership with M&T Bank and the Buffalo Bills. So at that point, I was dubbed a super fan. So that makes me pretty excited. I've actually had a chance to also meet man, I'll tell you what, they might not be super fans, but over in the Red Carpet Inn tailgate area, which is near that Tim Hortons, I believe, near that gas station, heading towards like Hamburg. That is just a great group of tailgaters. My cousin Vinny is notorious for being absolutely drunk out of his mind, and he jumps off the roof of that hotel to break tables. He's had people jump through him to break tables. They've got a live DJ there. A lot of people there will offer you food no matter what. You could always find, some beverages there. They got some decent bathrooms. So, I want to shout out to all those people at the Red Carpet Inn and say that they are all super fans as well. But Bobby, have you ever actually had the chance to meet any Bills super fans, or is there a Bills super fan that you would like to meet?
That there's two that I would like to really try to interact with and talk to. Pinto Ron
Hmm.
and Bill's Elvis.
Gotcha. Now, I'm pretty cool with some people that like run, like she was a member of the Bills Mafia Florida chapter. Cheryl DeShong, who is actually going to be visiting here in Western New York. She's from Leroy, coincidentally. She's going to be visiting here in Leroy and going to training camp. So, um, I've had a chance to meet a lot of the people in the Bills backers. And I've actually had, when I lived out in Las Vegas, even in my adult years, I used to frequent myself at two different places in Las Vegas when I went drinking. And that was the Stakeout and Moon Doggies. Both of those were Buffalo bars with chicken wings, beef on wag, Labatt's, and all that kind of stuff. I would like to meet Pinto Ron, though, too. I think that I would like to eventually do, some type of spaghetti sauce or chicken wing sauce. Specifically, chicken wings would be awesome too. But I'd like to do that at tailgates too, to give people a chance to kind of get a taste of what Sauce Guy can also bring to the tailgate.
What would your record prediction be for the Bills um for the whole season?
I'm going with. I think Montage and I went through it. Oops. Hold on 1 second. I think Montage and I both went through it, and I went either 13-4 or 14-3. In fact, let me see if I could pull up the graphic because I want to give you an accurate prediction. I don't like to change my predictions once I make them. You know what I'm saying? So give me uno momento. I'm still working. But man, Bobby, I cannot wait for this podcast to come out. I've been looking forward to sitting down with you and talking Bills. And, I was happy to have you on some of my own podcasts with my actual own channel, apart from the Built in Buffalo Network, right? And I'm just excited to be here today, bro. And gosh darn it all, Montage, where is this picture? What's your record prediction, though? I'm curious.
Um I'd say like uh thir- 13-4.
13-4.
and and I think the Bills will um like repeat as
Ooh.
AFC champions again.
So I have, listen to this. I got them going 15-2. They win week one, they win week two, they win week 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then they lose one to the Jets, is where I had it. Okay. Then they're going to win against whoever it is in week 12. Bye week, we're going to beat the Chiefs. Then we're going to beat the Cowboys. We're going to lose to the Chargers. We're going to beat the Patriots and we're going to beat the Dolphins. That is my record prediction for the Buffalo Bills this season 15-2, Bobby.
I feel like the the Chiefs game and the Jacksonville game are gonna be like the two tougher games for the Bills to play in.
Yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, like, um, the Jaguars are going to be really tricky. They got a really great defense, and now they've added Calvin Ridley really sneakishly, right? And he wasn't playing last year, due to being suspended for a year for violating the league's gambling policy, right? Um, the Trevor Lawrence is a really great young quarterback, and the Bills Jaguars have always had like this little bit of just a weird mojo that exists in the air, right? So it doesn't matter though. I think the Bills are going to go ahead and they're going to stomp over there in London.
Um I like the Jaguars running back, ETN. Uh and and I like their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. So
Yeah, I think that Trevor Lawrence is really gifted and he's surprised me quite a bit. I thought that he was going to kind of come out and have this kind of laid back attitude. Maybe it's the long hair and the whole surfer looking persona, right? But then you see that he's actually a dedicated football player and he's a real simple guy. And I thought that after that playoff win that they had, him eating at that Waffle House said a lot about his ability to be human just like us and compete at a really high level. So I like that too, Bobby. Good stuff.
Do you um see the Bills taking both games against the Dolphins?
Yeah, I think that Miami last year had a great first year with Tua and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle for brief moments of time. And then they also had uh, Raheem Mostert, who was healthy for a good chunk of the year, and he was able to find a way to fit into Miami's offense and get it going under Mike McDaniel, who he previously played for in San Francisco. So I think that they had a little bit of luck on their side as well. They only won that first game. I'm going to say it again, and not to make excuses, but the whole entire heat situation really affected the game. And I don't care what anybody says. When you got the Miami Dolphins sitting in the shade, cooling off, and they're, dude, I'm sitting out there in the garage, 80 degrees humid, and I'm dying just, drinking a bottle of water, I feel like, right? But imagine in Florida where it's 95, 100, and you got the sun beating directly on you, and it's 100% humidity as well. And then you got no shade, and you got no way to keep yourself going, especially when you're playing an intense football game against a divisional opponent in the Miami Dolphins. So, I think that the Bills will come out and they'll stomp on them. I think that Josh Allen truly has shown that the Miami Dolphins are sons to him in a lot of respect. Just because they get a win once in a while doesn't mean that they are going to be better than us or going to stand over us, I believe.
What is like what is like the experience like being at the stadium?
Man, it's just so hard to describe. Um, the two times in my life that I felt this insane feeling of magic existing in the air and this just overwhelming feeling of joy and um, goosebumps, right? Is the Colts game in 2017, which was a blizzard and a whiteout completely. And it was a game that was leading up to us, breaking the drought, which wasn't seeming to be so likely at that time. We had to have a bunch of different things happen outside of our control. We all know how ultimately that went, though, and we were able to break that drought after 17 seasons, 17 long seasons. But heading into that game, I remember being with two of my closest friends and saying, like, guys, I hold on, I feel like we're supposed to be here. My buddy Sam Pepe, who's not even a Bills fan, he's a Chargers fan, said, he was there rooting for the Bills. Goes, yeah, I feel like that too. And I'm like, I feel like we're gonna break the drought. And that proved to be real. And there was a lot of things that kind of went into that as well. Um, that game, my cousin Vinny, I was talking about earlier, the one that is notorious for breaking tables and being drunk, actually was by coincidence. I got random tickets. My mom got them for me for Christmas because they were like $5 a piece because the severe weather conditions that they were anticipating, right? So I got club seats. I didn't know where I was getting them. I didn't even know where Vinny sat with his season tickets. But dude, I'm sitting down and Vinny comes over and he's like, "Hey, what do you sit?" I'm like, "This is my spot." He goes, "Dude, you're sitting right next to my season tickets." By coincidence, and I don't believe that to be coincidence at all, right? But at that moment, sitting next to my first cousin Vinny, who I look a lot, people say I look a lot alike, and just how the hell does that happen, right? And then also too, when I was there with Mafia Montage on the Monday Night Football game against the Tennessee Titans, where we were able to finally get over the hump and beat them and shut them down the way that we did, especially for the season home opener being on Monday Night Football. Montage and I had such a great time. There was the speech given by Bruce Smith about Choose Love, which was in dedication to the shooting that happened in Buffalo on May 14th of 2022. That was really special and tear jerking, especially because Montage and I both were pretty emotional at that moment. It was definitely something that hit us both very hard when that shooting happened. But then you got Jim Kelly comes on the field, and him and Marv Levy lead the charge, and the crowd was just so electric and loud. And then in the atmosphere, it was like it's like stormy night, right? But it wasn't raining, and it wasn't like thundering. It was just like a little bit of heat lightning you saw once in a while, right? It was a hot day, I remember that. But you could see these beams of like sunlight coming through, or these beams of light that were like almost godlike, right? And that was a pretty special moment for me as well. So I've sat in the nosebleeds, I've sat in club seats, I've sat in the 100s, I've sat in the 200s. Hell, I've tried to swap seats. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter where you sit at a Buffalo Bills game in Orchard Park. If you're with the right people and you are being, responsible, and uh, you go and go with the right intentions, you're going to have one of the best times of your life, whether you're a fan of this Bills squad or not. That's the damn truth.
Do you have anything like that you collected over the years for from the Bills?
Actually, if you give me about 20 seconds, Bobby, maybe less, I can actually show you one thing that I do have. All right, so you asked me if I've collected anything Bills related through the years, right?
Yeah.
All right, so you see behind me, I got that signed Doug Flutie jersey, which was his Boston College jersey where he wore the number 22. Very famous play that he had, the Hail Mary. Here's something that is actually a little random, right? This is a on-card auto from Don Beebe, former Buffalo Bills wide receiver, also Super Bowl champion with the Green Bay Packers, and used to be the record holder for the fastest 40-yard dash time in NFL history. It was like a 4.2. This was signed by him, and that's something that's pretty cool because technically that's a 1 of 1. He signed it special. I'm going to show you a couple other things real fast. This is a rookie card I've got of Khalil Shakir, who I think is going to be exceptional for the Bills, and that's a numbered rookie card. But this is the one I really wanted to show you, Bobby. This is a Josh Allen rookie graded signature 9.5 from Beckett right there. That's about a $700, $800 card right there. Yep. So that's what I've got collected for the Bills, and I also got my jerseys as well, Bobby. So yeah, good question.
Why was the number 13 so lucky for you?
For me, I don't know what it was. Everybody just having bad luck on Friday the 13th always kind of convinced me that maybe I could be the opposite of most people, right? But for me, I chose the number 13 because my older cousin Vinny had worn it. Stevie Johnson, who was one of my favorite receivers ever, wore the number 13. And in high school, my final season of football, my senior year, actually, I wore the number 13. And then from that point on, I don't know what it was. I just wanted to select my own number. I used to like the number 2. I always liked 7, 11, but then I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to settle with 13. And it's kind of stuck ever since. Now I got 13 on my own Sauce God jersey, and I also got 13 on my custom St. Patrick's Day Sabres jersey.
That's pretty cool. Um, how do you think Ken Dorsey's going to do this year?
I think he's going to do much better. I mean, if you want to just listen, when he was the quarterback coach for Josh Allen had seen his development skyrocket, right? Brian Dable was a really great offensive coordinator, and he was also a really great member of this coaching staff that kind of had a really close relationship with a lot of the players for the Buffalo Bills. So I understand that losing Brian Dable was a little bit tricky, But a lot of people lost faith in Ken Dorsey, right? Because we had a lot of offensive woes last year. But some of those you can't help if you're Ken Dorsey, right? You can't control the fact that you got offensive linemen being penalized. You can't control the fact that you got Isaiah McKenzie committing a fumble or turning a catch into an interception that shoots us in the foot, right? Those are things that were out of his control. And I think that Ken Dorsey is just trying to figure out this league and this AFC conference itself, not even just the AFC East. The AFC conference is getting incredibly tough and more tough as the years go on. And we have so many gifted young quarterbacks in this AFC conference that's only going to make it trickier, right? But I think that Ken Dorsey is a champion. He's going to have to figure out how to kind of settle in here. But that's the same thing that I saw from Brian Dable. Brian Dable had his offensive woes. When he first started out, it took him a little bit. People, even before his final season of being offensive coordinator, were questioning Brian Dable, right? They even questioned him when he departed and became the head coach for the Giants. So at the end of the day, we can't always see every play become a touchdown like we did against the Patriots in the playoffs, which obviously we'd like to see every game go like that, but that's just not reality. So I think Ken Dorsey's going to find a way with the weapons that he's got, the way that we drafted, the way that we sign people in free agency, and now that we have no more Devin Singletary, I think that James Cook and Damian Harris is an opportunity to run the football a lot more effectively and help make the game a little bit easier for your MVP quarterback and Josh Allen.
I got one question for you. Like, what was your favorite moment of like any Bills game that you've been to or watched on TV?
That I've been to, I'll tell you right away. That Jaguars game in 2018 when Josh Allen was a rookie and had a lot of woes himself that year, but we all saw in that game against the Minnesota Vikings that he really could be exactly what we drafted him to be, as long as we developed him right and we put the right continuity and system around him and the right players around him, which we've done with Stephon Diggs, guys like Gabe Davis, and the staff that we have right now, right? But I think that against that Jaguars squad, we weren't supposed to really win. And then you got, it was a rebuilding season, but like Josh Allen is just lighting it up, dude. He's like running for mad yards. He's basically just out there balling and trying his best to find a way to win the football game. And that's why I said his rookie year, it doesn't matter about the statistics. It doesn't matter about completion percentage or his turnovers. It matters if he's moving the football down the field effectively with what he's got. And at that time, he didn't have very much, right? And he still found a way to score touchdowns, especially that year. That Jaguars defense was really damn good, right? So I think that was a moment of it was a sweet victory, right? Because all the trash talk that Jalen Ramsey had. And then Leonard Fournette got ejected, and so did Shaq Lawson for fighting. And that was the emergence of Jordan Phillips with Bills Mafia kind of becoming one with the fans. And I remember being so damn hyped that I wanted to run onto that field and fight Leonard Fournette myself, which is, listen, I'm a tough guy and I'm not afraid of anybody in this world, but Leonard Fournette's a big freaking dude. And I don't know what the hell I was thinking. So thank God Shaq Lawson took care of the job. But another one that has really been incredible to watch was definitely that New England game that we had in the playoffs where we were able to dismantle them with a touchdown on each one of our opening 6 or 7 drives. I forget. It was just so damn many, right? The one right there was really special for me to watch.
Where could like other content creators or listeners find you at?
So I'm on all social media platforms. I'm on Facebook. Anthony Bamasuda is where you can find my my business. Well, it's technically my professional profile, but I cover the Buffalo Bills in depth there with live news, and also, like I said, I podcast for the Built in Buffalo Networks, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the sit down presented by Duff's Famous Wings and hosted by myself, as well as the Mafia Montage. Yeah, Lance Nelson. So for me though, you guys can find me on YouTube at Buffalo Sauce God, on Twitter at Buffalo Sauce God, on Instagram at Buffalo Sauce God, on Facebook as well. Like I said, just search Anthony Bamasudo and you'll find me. Simple as that, right? You could also find me on TikTok at Buffalo Sauce Guy. I don't know if I mentioned that one already as well. And am I thinking of any? Am I leaving anything out? No, like I said, Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the sit down. And you can catch all of my other social media platforms where I will occasionally go live. You'll see other podcasts with even such as yourself, Buffalo Bobby, being a guest on that podcast, right? Also, guys, you can check out my website, www.buffalosaucegod.com. That's where you're going to see some of my clips, chicken wing reviews, Bills news, whatever it may be, right? My vlog, all that kind of stuff, as well as a print on demand merch shop where you can get memorabilia, some merchandise that's got the Sauce God logo. There's 3 different designs that you can actually get on there. And I've actually had 2 different people purchase and say that they appreciated the quality as well as the design of it.
And I'm on Twitter at Let's Talk 716. And you can find my shows on YouTube.
And you might even catch Buffalo Bobby on some upcoming content with myself, maybe in the Built in Buffalo Network, maybe not. It doesn't matter. I'm sure that you guys are going to be seeing a lot more of me in the Buffalo Bobby. And I want to say again, brother, thank you so much for having me on. God bless you. I'm so humbled. And this was really a really fun experience for me, Buffalo Bobby. I got to do this again with you sometime.
Yeah, we definitely should work together.
Well, God bless, brother, and go Bills. And hope to see you again soon, my guy.
Um
All right, so you got 1 minute, less than a minute. You good now?
yeah, thanks
Okay.
for joining me, and go Bills.
Go Bills. God bless. See you again soon. Sauce God out.